Can we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Live from Pacific Junction Hotel, Girth Radio.
Welcome, Jeff, to My Summer Lair. And writer, filmmaker, director, all the fancy pants titles.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I try to wear both sides of the cap, I guess.
Yeah. You're here for the new film, which is Blood Honey.
Yeah.
And now, right before we started, I got into a little bit of trouble. I referred to it as horror, and you brought up an interesting point about genres today.
I jumped on you though, meaning to. No, it's psychological thriller.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh man, I swear, I watched the film. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
There's bees in it. We're gonna get to all that, but I want to talk about the genre first before we kind of get into the film, because I thought this was an interesting distinction, because it does kind of occupy that Hitchcock. This is what I was saying to you. Like, it occupies that Hitchcock kind of genre of like, there's a little bit of like scary things, but it's also psychological, like thriller, like you said.
Yeah, and we were inspired by like Hitchcock, and tried to be inspired by movies like Rosemary's Baby and The Shining. The Shining is definitely in the world of horror, but it's old school horror. It's not about gore and body count. It's way more psychological. So that's the world that we tried to live in. And my fear with people thinking it's a horror movie is I just think they'll be grossly disappointed. It's definitely got some really scary moments, and it's been fun to watch people jump out of their seats in the theater. But it's like a slow burn, and it's pretty dramatic too. So. Yeah,
it builds too.
It builds. I mean, it's again, like I was saying to you earlier, I don't really go see horror movies, but I love psychological thrillers. So for me, there's a huge differentiation, and hopefully this one falls into the psychological thriller. Yeah.
So you mentioned in terms of psychological thrillers, like Rosemary's Babies, I guess, kind of like the tone or one of your cues or inspirations.
Yeah, it's one of the inspirations. It's a pretty great movie to try to compare yourself off of, but I think we were just inspired by it is the way to put it. Rear Window and and a bunch of these kind of old school thrillers again.
I mentioned the bees and your recent stunt at Yonge and Dundas.
Yeah,
it's getting a lot of buzz.
Yeah, totally. The puns are endless with this one.
I know.
Yeah, we did indie films, so you don't have the money that studios have, so you got to think outside the box to try to get earned media. And so came up with this PR stunt idea actually when we were writing the script, incredibly, like 3 years ago, which is kind of mind-boggling that it actually happened. And so we actually did a live stunt in the film. Gil Bellows, who was in Shawshank Redemption and a bunch of other things, is a great Canadian actor, and he's quite close to being method in his acting. And so we actually covered him in live bees for a stunt that we did in the movie, and we actually brought out like live bees with a stunt person and stuff. And so
that scene is surreal.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And we had to VFX some of it, unfortunately, because we didn't get quite enough bees on them at the time because we didn't have enough time. And so we went to Dundas Square on Wednesday and got this huge bubble, this plastic bubble that's like sealable, and put a guy in there and covered him with something like 100,000 live bees on his head and his face, and broke the Guinness World Record for the longest time somebody's had that done, which was it was 53 minutes, and we got 61.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was great. So and it went viral. So we got media all over the world for it, which is great.
Which is important for a smaller indie film, right? You want to get that attention.
It's the only way to get eyeballs on it, whether it's in the theater or whether it's on iTunes or VOD. And we went in theaters in Toronto September 1st, and then today we released on Canadian iTunes and different VOD channels like Google and Sony and stuff like that.
Blood Honey, what is it about? Give us the breakdown. Now we've established it's not horror and there's bees in it. We're rolling now.
Yeah, it's about a young woman who is played by Sinead Grimes-Beach, who obviously was in the new 90210, and she was on Degrassi before that. She got a new CTV series that's coming out in 2018. So she's a really recognizable actor, and she hasn't been back home to her family's got a fishing and hunting lodge in Georgian Bay. That's on an island 30 minutes from mainland, which is a real thing. And she gets asked by her dad, who's sick, to come back home. She hasn't been back home in 10 years since something really tragic happened. And when she goes back, she gets kind of haunted by these memories that she's kind of blocked out of her head. Her dad dies, and she inherits the lodge, and more importantly, all the property. It's really valuable property around there. And her brother doesn't, and her sister doesn't. Nor does it the staff that have been working there for years. and his last request is that she sells it. And sure enough, 2 of the buyers are actually already there because he's organized all this. He's orchestrated this whole thing. He's a puppet master. And she starts becoming convinced that her family and the staff who are there are actually poisoning her which is a real thing, with badly fermented honey, which we call ruby red. And when honey is fermented wrong, or when it's the pollen is taken from the wrong type of flowers, it can be deadly.
It's not a sweet.
It's not a sweet.
No.
Yeah, no.
What came first then? Kind of like this idea with all the bees and things like that, and the honey you were just talking about, or like was that kind of like the central image that sparked all this?
No,
or
not at
was
all.
just
That
the family
that
stuff?
totally came at like halfway through kind of developing the script, and it was by co-writer Doug Taylor, who among many other things wrote Splice, which is a great sci-fi thriller with Adrian Brody, and he's more of a sci-fi guy than I am, and he kind of called me one day and he said, "I've got this weird idea, just bear with me, about having bees." And the Gil Bellows is a recreational beekeeper, and we just kind of grew with it from there. No, it's again, the original goal was to make an old school psychological thriller. The easiest is the wrong word. The most sellable is a woman in peril story. So we already had gotten the film some financing for the film based on that, so we were kind of stuck to that, and we just kind of built this thing about it, around it, where it was all became about the sins of your family and the sins of your past, and coming to grips with who you are as an adult within the bounds of your family, and in this case some mental illness as well.
Dealing with family, now that's a horror movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was the original kind of inspiration. Actually.
Yeah, that
and the whole bee thing works as well, right? Because hives are
they're gangs.
they're
Families.
cults, they're
Yeah.
gangs, and it's one queen that runs. It's all guys, and they all have this insane family system. So even the lodge is called the Hive, and so it all kind of worked and streamlined its way through.
Sweet. So the show business adage is that you never work with animals or children.
Yeah.
So does that apply to bees too?
I keep doing both. Yeah, I've my first film, I worked with my dog actually, because I needed a dog, and she was well trained. I trained her with hand signals, and it's called an insignificant Harvey, and also I had kids. A lot of commercials used to direct kids and dogs. So yeah, and in this one has a dog again. So and kids.
Yeah.
And bees. Yeah, bees are temperamental, man. They're really high. They're really high maintenance talent. They're really,
Okay.
they got a lot of expectations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Managers, publicists.
Oh man.
Big
Okay.
demands.
Okay. So
Yeah.
We'll add bees to that list.
Yeah.
then.
No,
Children,
they're really
animal-
temperamental. If the weather's off even a little bit, they're grumpy and they bite more. And I've learned a lot about bees.
You mentioned like the previous film that you worked on, Insignificant Harvey. Like that also is set in kind of like a small, intimate location, small town, and this one too is very much just focused on this little kind of cabin.
Yeah,
and,
there's crossover themes. I mean, they're both people in peril. They're both underdogs, and both themes of dealing with family. So yeah, there's definitely a kind of shared theme in both of them. And there's different reasons for that type of location. I mean, part of it's budget. I mean, when you shoot in a remote location, you can control it. It's cheaper if you shoot in a city, unless you're just doing run and gun. But if it's a professional film, which this is, it's not. It's you're spending millions of dollars on something. You need to be able to control the environment. And yet, to properly do it in a city, you need really millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So yeah.
all the permits and all.
Yeah,
that.
well, it's beyond that, right? It's police, and it's just crowd control and extras, and it's just a totally different thing. So,
How is the scene? Because now this is your second independent film, so is it difficult to raise financing and to kind of get these grants or these kind of?
yeah, it's brutal. It's totally brutal, and it's only gotten harder. I mean, I released Harvey in 2011, and it took me 5 years to get to my second feature as a writer-director. I mean, as a producer, I've done some other stuff, but it's absolutely brutal. On this one, we had 1/3 of the budget. So yeah, we locked into tax credits, which we're so lucky in Canada to have, and an employment fund in the north of Ontario called the NOHFC, Northern Ontario Fund, and kind of a few other things. But there was a huge gap that we had that most people have, and I raised money from 7 different countries, to fill that. I mean, it took me years of going to different markets and meeting the right people and learning how to raise private equity. And I did that on my first film as well, but not nearly as much as this.
Is that a frustrating process? Because like it sounded like you're almost ready to go, or you have some ideas kind of ready to shoot, and then now you got to take. Because I think Harvey was 2011.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is like you said, 6-year window, right? So
yeah, well, 5 when I actually shot
yeah.
it, but yeah, it's brutal. Absolutely. I mean, we had so many almost starts with this, and then money falls out, and it's really, really hard. It's a hard gig, but it's a passion gig.
Mm-hmm.
You do it for. It's there's not a lot of people that get to make a feature film, much less 2. So, it's kind of a privilege.
Does track record make a difference after a certain point where now you've got Harvey under your belt and it's like, yeah, you can make him a film and you can take the lens cap off and you seem to know what you're doing a little bit?
Yeah, well, like I said, I directed commercials and I worked for National Geographic before that as a filmmaker, and I'd done a lot of short films that did pretty well, and so that kind of led up to the first one. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And box office makes a difference too. People want to know that your movies have actually made money.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. We'll see.
You're taking advantage. You mentioned at the top, like doing some of the video on demand and these kind of services. Is it kind of exciting to be a filmmaker too, to have all these different platforms? Or
I mean, we did something different. Well, it's not different anymore. It's become more the norm for independent films. It was something called day and date release, which is where you basically have the theatrical and the digital, iTunes VOD within a few days of each other, if not on the same day.
So you can decide if you want to put on pants or go to cinema, or
because one of the things we figured out is that, and I say we as in the grand we of the industry, is that people that want to see an independent film like this in theaters are going to go to the theater anyway. Having it available in the theater doesn't really distract. It doesn't affect your numbers on VOD or on digital or in theater. And so you only have to do one promotional push this way. The way it used to be is you'd release it in theaters, and then the theaters would make you wait 90 days till you could release it on any other platform. You had to do 2 different marketing pushes. We don't have those resources or that money. So
you can't cover that many people in bees anymore, right?
No, yeah, you only do that once, man. The city will only let you do that once. And so it's good. But part of that is you need to get theaters to agree to do it with you, and that means a different type of theatrical release. So,
are the theaters kind of reluctant with that, or
they're super reluctant? So we're at Cineplex, but we have what's called event screenings. So we have 2 screenings a night for a week, which is great and still extremely hard to get. This is in Toronto, and then we have select one-off screenings in Vancouver and Calgary and Ottawa. I think hopefully we're going to have one in Montreal and a couple other places, and that's great. To be honest, as a filmmaker in today's world, for a film that's under $5 million, we're beating all the stats on that. I mean, that is so hard to get. And the way that we do that with Cineplex, that still has a 90-day rule, us do all the major theatrical chains, not that there's that many of them anymore, is they're event screenings. So we're in the same theaters that the opera would be in, live opera or whatever. The theaters are exactly the same as other theaters. They're a little smaller, like 150 people, and if it's doing well, they'll kick you to a bigger theater.
Same sticky floors.
Yeah, exactly, and that's great though. I like that because then we can control our release. So I've got no problem with that.
Would you consider this a Canadian film then? Because I'm just thinking more of the location rather than like the personal.
It's stupid that we're so scared to say that because we think people are going to think it sucks.
That's why I bring it up.
It's the worst. I know, but
it's because we're going full circle now because you want to distance yourself from the horror genre because that has a certain baggage and certain implication.
Yeah.
And Canadian film, if I use that term, it's
totally,
like
which is stupid because Canadian films are getting so much better than they used to be.
It's like I met this girl on Tinder, right?
Totally,
it's already
yeah. But again, that's become more public now. You can kind of say that now.
Yeah, a little bit. You can have a little.
You can
less
a
shame.
little more. It depends on your social circle. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's Canadian because it's shot in Canada. All the actors are Canadian, but that's only because we got an extra tax credit bump by having all Canadian actors. But all of these actors are living in LA and doing US shows. So, no, not really. I mean, it's like, we don't actually say it's Canada. Mm-hmm. There's no Canadian theme to it. We don't have Mounties.
Yeah, there's cabin and water everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. And so it could be Minnesota, quite frankly, right? Or like Greater New York. So no, it's not Canadian in that sense. But yeah, I mean, it's Canadian in the sense that like we use Canadian crew and Canadian cast, and that's great. And that's something I'm proud of.
Does it make a difference between like working in the industry here or like trying to like make it in LA? like going back, kind of continuing this Canadian thread.
Yeah, I've done something for years where I've done what's called riding the fence, and so I spend a portion of my time in LA and a portion of my time here, and I'll continue to do that inevitably. I mean, I'll keep my residency here and everything else because I want the tax credits, and I like living here. Quite frankly, I like Toronto, and then I spend time. I'm starting to move a lot into scripted television now, like a lot of filmmakers. I've got a show at ABC that I developed with Alicia Keys' production company. Is
that the Whiskey King or
no? That's not the Whiskey King. That one's called Freedom Riders. Yeah, the Whiskey King is another one that I optioned the rights to in the book. And
what's the Freedom Riders?
Freedom Riders is a civil rights story in the U.S. And so Freeform, which is
they did that horror show. Dead Summer, Long Summer.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really watch your channel that much. No, it's like, well, they've changed it all. They've totally rebranded the whole thing. So now it's targeted at what do they call it? Like middle-aged millennials or something, like people 25 to 30. And the shows are coming out with actually look awesome. So I'm really excited. It's a huge scripted TV show in the U.S. And so it's really kicked open doors for me. And I packaged it and put it together, and they bought it, and so now I have a track record in the U.S., and so I can go and I can knock on pretty much everyone's door and pitch some other stuff. So I'm doing that, and I've got some Canadian stuff I'm pitching and some American. Most of it crosses both ways. You can shoot it in Canada, but it's sellable. You pre-sell it in the U.S. and that type of stuff. So again, that's a new world I'm learning about that I really like a lot.
You like the TV, I guess, too, just for the shorter, because the work is a little bit shorter, right? You only have to shoot like a 60-minute show.
It's just a better business.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, film has been, the business model's been broken for quite a few years now. We all know that, and TV is still a super robust business model. So, and the timelines are great. I mean, TV is something like 1 to 3 years on average. I'm a little bit guesstimating. It's probably longer than that, but film is like, independent film's like 7 to 10 years, right? Like, it's nuts. And TV is really exciting now. Like, creatively, it's really fun. You can do some pretty cool stuff out there. A lot of my stuff's cable stuff. It's HBO type stuff, and that's fun. And you get 10 times the amount of time to develop your characters and to tell your story arcs and all that stuff. So I quite like it. We'll see how it goes, but I like it.
All right. And Freedom Riders, you mentioned, is like it's going to be on long form, freeform. Sorry, freeform. Yeah. Do you know when it's going to be on?
No, we haven't even gotten to production yet. It's been, I think, kind of unofficially greenlit, but we won't get officially greenlit. Assuming that we do for another couple of months, and so I think hopefully it'll shoot next summer.
All right, cool. And for now, though, Blood Honey is going to make its way across Canada.
Yeah, we have another couple days in Toronto, so if you haven't seen it, please do. It's at the Cineplex Yonge Dundas, and there's screenings tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. And then it's also, like I said, available on Canadian iTunes and Canadian VOD. And then it'll be in Vancouver September 8th and Calgary September 12th. And I'll be there for both.
You ever find there's a difference, too, as you kind of go through the different cities? Because Vancouver's got a different identity than Toronto, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
And so do they receive the film in a different way? Or their takeaways are a little bit different?
Yeah, it's totally different. And everywhere you go, which is part of the fun. And also just getting people out to it. People in Vancouver are totally last minute. They won't plan a weekend ahead. In Toronto, people are planning 2 weeks ahead of time. So it kind of changes the way you market it, too. Yeah, you wait a little bit more last minute in Vancouver and Calgary. And people receive it differently in both places, which is, again, part of the fun. It's like, traveling across the world really with your film. That's the funnest part, because you get to meet all these different people, and it's an icebreaker, and you get the doing Q&As after is really fun. So you get these totally wild different perspectives.
Are there people and you get to see the audience too. They see if they're like laughing at certain points, or they're scared, or like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It takes 6 months to edit a movie. I've seen it thousands of times now without, and so I don't really sit and watch the movie.
Yeah, I know, because you've been living with it from
I might see
now.
them at the very end, so you can kind of see their reactions at the end, but that's also just a painful process to sit through that many screenings. Because you're so paranoid the whole time there.
Yeah.
Every time somebody moves in their seat, you're like, oh, I failed. So just.
Or you just like notice things again.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you notice every mistake you made.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's any filmmaker that watches their film in regular screenings if they can avoid it. It's like going to like an industry screening at like a film festival where people are on their phones and stuff. And you just would never do it. Like it's terrible. Yeah.
Before you go, I want to touch upon Crystal Hope Nassenbaum.
Yeah, Crystal Nussbaum, Hope Nussbaum. Yeah, she's great. She's a wonderful Toronto actor. She was in a film that was in the Toronto Film Festival a couple of years ago to Delisle, and she was in the TV show Bitten. And she also is a Down syndrome.
That's why I'm bringing it up. Yeah,
a kind of activist, and has that part of her life. And the character was always somebody that had Down syndrome.
That's what I was getting at. Like that was something you kind of envisioned from the beginning, right?
Yeah, and it was you see the movie, you'll understand a little bit why it was a little bit of a mechanism that we needed.
The character is kind of shifty. You can't. It's hard to read her because you don't know if she's like passive.
I know.
Or she knows something.
On purpose. Yeah. So it was either. It's such a weird conversation. It was either Tourette's or Down syndrome. Those were the two. That's what I was getting at. We kind of identified that would work for what we wanted her character, among other things, to do. Mm-hmm. And with Down syndrome, I always wanted to find an actor that actually had it. I didn't want to try to find an actor who didn't and try to make it look like they had it. And luckily there are like a handful of really talented, high functioning Down syndrome actors. So she's great, man. She's been fantastic. Yeah.
So where can people find you online? You're on Twitter?
Yeah, we're everywhere. It's hashtag on Instagram. It's Blood Honey Film, and on Facebook and Twitter it's Blood Honey Movie. We got locked out of our Blood Honey Movie Instagram account, so we had to switch it, which sucks.
Yeah,
and the hashtag is often Blood Honey now.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons here in like the adventures of indie filmmaking.
Always learn a lot. Yeah, you always learn a lot. Yeah, that's great.
So for the next one, or either whether it's TV or film, you're like ready. You got some lessons learned now.
Yeah. When you cover a guy in bees, to put a T-shirt on him.
Oh, see, there you go. Like so much knowledge now.
I know.
Now you're buzzing. Thank you, Jeff, for coming in and talking about independent film and bees and correcting me from the genre. So I apologize again for that. So my name is Sammy Younan, and you can follow me on My Pal Sammy. Thank you.